We're back. You know, Battery Station is a dear buddy of mine, and he faithfully has supported this program for years. And you know, I don't know how much business he gets out of our advertisements, but he's a guy that I really truly respect a lot, and he's been a staunch supporter of this program, you know, through all of its history, frankly. And I can't thank him enough for that. And he's, you know, it's more than just an advertiser relationship. Kevin's a man who I respect and I honor, and he's a good American patriot. You would not do bad or do wrong to do business with this guy in any way, shape, or form. So I encourage you to get to their website, batterystation.com, because I think you'll find, after having had a chance to visit there, that even though it's not the fanciest and the nicest and the most glowing website you can have, he's got, you know, all kinds of products on there that you would not think would be part of the portfolio of a company that's calling itself Battery Station. So, you know, yeah, they carry flashlights and, you know, all kinds of things like that and all these different types of batteries. But they carry a lot of other products as well, and you really need to get over there and see them. So if you're interested in any way, shape, or form in anything related to self-reliance, survival, self-sufficiency, this is the place for you to go, because what they and if you're uncomfortable about whether or not they have what you need, give them a call at 417-257-7799 and ask them what they've got, because they've got everything from solar stuff to, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's endless. They've got all kinds of gear and tactical gear, bags. They've got those tell you some of the things I like. He's got some of those multi-layered sleep systems, the military four-bag sleep systems, and he's got them for like the cheapest price you can find them, period. He has all kinds of tactical gear. He's got cases and backpacks and things by Voodoo, by a couple of other companies that he works with. They've got all of the Gerber products in terms of knives and axes and things like that. So if you're somebody who goes out and does any kind of outdoor activity, if you're an outdoorsman in any way, shape, or form, they got a ton of stuff there for you. They have books and all kinds of things. I mean, it's when you walk into this place, you could spend an hour literally standing just in maybe a 10-foot by 20-foot area, and you could spend an hour and not see it all. I kid you not. So you won't go wrong going in there. They're located at 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains, and you can reach them on the web at batterystation.com. If you can't get them there, you can call them at 417-257-7799. Yesterday, or this morning, it was announced that Rand Paul is now throwing his weight behind the immigration reform issue. And, I mean, how many traitors, guys, can we have on the left? Or on the right, I mean. I expect the people on the liberals on the left to say, oh, yeah, let them all in. But I do not expect these people on the right who stand for the rule of law. I don't care whether you feel humanitarian need to sacrifice yourself on the altar. From a political perspective, your platform as the Republican Party states that you stand for the rule of law. And the rule of law says, one, that the executive has an obligation, and that is to defend and protect the United States of America and defend and execute the laws faithfully. The law says that border protection is the job of the executive and the federal government. So if you say to me, I seek to usurp that and to undermine that, then you are committing an act of treason. You can't shuffle it any other way and try to hide the cards somewhere in the middle of the deck. It doesn't work that way. I told you a long time ago, Rand Paul gave me the willies because he's not his father. There's absolutely no denying it. And this guy will bend whichever way the wind is blowing to accomplish his task. Now, he's not the only one. I mean, here's what's a killer. Him and Grover Norquist are out there, you know, stumping around trying to drum up support from the Republicans for immigration reform. Hey, folks, let me tell you, here's the only immigration reform we need. Shut down the doggone border. Lock it down so tight that not a gnat gets through. Not one. That's what we need. You want to lock this border down so that not a mouse, not a bug, not a cockroach can get across that border. And frankly, I got to tell you, I've had enough with the nonsense and the cries and the begging of, people saying, well, we can't handle it because we don't want to solve the problem. Believe it or not, there was an article out this morning, and I didn't post a lot on Facebook or on Patriot FB or any of the other places I do, or even on AVN because I had an internet outage at my home this morning. But there is an article out there on the Gateway Pundit about how Amnesty activists stormed Eric Cantor's headquarters after his concession speech. Now, they stormed it, after he lost to and conceded the loss to David Bratt. The Washington Post report, here was what their report is. As if the political drama were not powerful enough, chaos erupted at election night headquarters shortly after House Majority Leader Eric Cantor conceded a stunning defeat to Tea Party-backed conservative David Bratt. Tea Party, by the way, did not back David Bratt. I don't want to hear it from anybody in the Tea Party. They abandoned this guy, and they left him hanging out there and dangling. He did it on his own, and that's the truth. The Tea Party, doesn't, and what they're trying to, or attempting to do is to tie the Tea Party. When you hear stuff like this in the Washington Post, what they're trying to do is tie the Tea Party to somebody they label as an extremist. And I'm disappointed in the organized Tea Party because I think it's bunk. I think they're all welching out there trying to make something for themselves out of all of this chaos. I have to tell you, not everybody, but let me tell you something. The vast majority of these Tea Party, if these Tea Party organizations were true, they'd be back in this program, and they don't. I don't ever hear a word from them. They won't put me on their websites. They don't sit here and say, hey, you know what? You could use a donation maybe to buy another camera or something. Nothing. Is this not what the Tea Party stands for? Truth? Cantor addressed his supporters for about 4 minutes at a suburban hotel in Richmond, then boarded an SUV without taking questions from reporters who scurried after him. Then it got really rambunctious. In the room of downcast Cantor allies, energy suddenly erupted, but not the kind they wanted on election night. A group of immigrant activists stormed the ballroom, screaming and waving a flag. What do we want? They screamed. Ugh, you got to be kidding me. I am so sick of internet sites that will sit here and literally throw open an ad in the middle of, I'm telling you. How dare they do that? Because you don't pay them. I lost the article. Unbelievable. All right. Thanks, you scumbags in the transnational Google for making sure that the ad was more important than what I was reading. You got to be kidding me. How shameful. And it was for dog food. I don't even like dogs. Anyway, they were chanting and screaming and touting that, it was not fair, that he could have done more, should have done more. I mean, you got to be kidding me, right? All right, let's hear from a couple of actual border agents, because these are the people that matter. This is a border agent who reached out to InfoWars, who verified and confirmed his bona fides, that he is, a true agent and so forth and so on. Here's what he wrote. Good morning. I am a border agent in the Rio Grande Valley sector, south of Corpus Christi, Texas. Thank you for your continued support and coverage of the ongoing crisis on the border. I would like to take a moment to convey the absolute desperation that we are reaching down here. We have been ordered to release thousands of family units, parent-child units, and thousands of teenage unaccompanied juveniles under 18. We have encountered numerous instances of fraud, kidnapping, exploitation, where adults are claiming that very young children are their own, when in fact they are not. Many of the unaccompanied juveniles are claiming that they have a responsible parent to be released to, when in fact they do not. As a Border Patrol agent, I can tell you as an eyewitness that we are currently losing more than we are catching. On a good day, we catch approximately 30 to 40% of all crossers, while the rest simply get away. In the RGV, we have been averaging around 10,000 apprehensions per week. That means we are losing well over 10,000 aliens per week. And the aliens that are getting away are not the juveniles or the family units, because they are turning themselves in at the first sight of an agent. The ones we are losing are the convicted felons, the aliens from special interest countries, and other high-risk individuals. We are so overwhelmed and preoccupied by the flood of juveniles and family units that we cannot use our resources to catch the serious aliens. In the RGV, we have been releasing aliens through ICE in Brownsville, Texas, and McAllen, Texas. We have been ordered to go out of our way to bus them to those locations for release because they are cities of mostly Hispanic heritage, so fewer people will notice or care. We have been doing that for months before the stories broke in Phoenix, Arizona, a couple of weeks ago. We cannot get any attention or relief down here. We desperately need immediate manpower, resources, and the firm support of Americans. This is a de facto amnesty. The President and the Secretary of Homeland Security will ignore this issue as long as possible in order to let as many illegal aliens gain entry into the United States as possible. Again, thank you for your underlying patriotism. You have no idea how much my fellow agents and I appreciate it. God bless America. Now, InfoWars confirmed the identity of this guy because they wanted to make sure that, he was who he said he was. But the truth of the matter is, that is the situation. Joe Biden came out and said the U.S. needs a constant, unrelenting stream of immigrants. Folks, that's a confession. A confession. The truth is, while we are standing here playing babysitter to women and children that are pouring across the border, and by the way, there's no assurance that the people who say that they're the parents of these children are actually the parents, because the rules are, if you're under 18, you get in and you'll never get kicked out. So the children are pouring over. Those that are alone find an adult who's over 18 and likely to get kicked out or caught or returned, and they say, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll act like your mommy or your daddy, you act like my kid, and we'll both be safe. And I'll make sure I take care of you so that they won't. It's a scam. Not to mention the fact that these kids coming across the border who are anywhere from 18 to 27, they say, well, I'm 17. How are you going to prove it or disprove it? They don't have any papers. There's no database to check. There's no birth certificate to look at. The vast majority of the border is out of control. And who is controlling it are the cartels. And Mexico, I got to tell you, it's inconceivable to me that we have allowed Mexico to do this while we are refusing steadfastly to hold them accountable. They're not helping at all, and they don't care. Now, look, the simple solution is we dry up our assistance for them and we let it turn into a narco state and lock down our own border. You want to play ball like that? Great. We can both play ball like that. Mexico is already, for all intents and purposes, without our assistance, they're a failed narco state. They are. Their government and everybody in it is so corrupted by narco money that, but what we do need to do is we need to put up a no man's land on the border, a quarter of a mile wide, mine it, and say, cross this border and you will die. And if you manage somehow or other to cross that border area and that no man's land of mines, then we're just going to shoot you. That's it, folks. It's got to stop. It's our country. We don't have to allow them to come into our home, take everything from it, leave us sitting there on the floor after they've stolen the furniture, wiped out the food, taken all of our things, emptied our bank accounts, and wandered off. laughing uproariously at what fools we were to allow them to have it, moving on to their next victim. That's the position that we're in. An ex-border agent, he's stating that the immigration flood is orchestrated. Here's the proof that you need. Now, this guy can speak out, right? He says, we're not gullible enough to believe thousands here came here without aid and assistance. They're saying, well, all these people are from El Salvador and they're all from Panama. How did they get here? They didn't just literally walk from Honduras and El Salvador and Argentina. You're talking, folks, like that would be the equivalent of walking from here to the Arctic Circle, okay? An organization of former Border Patrol agents charges that the federal government, under the administration of President Barack Obama, is deliberately arranging for a flood of immigrant children to arrive in America for political purposes. Quote, this is not a humanitarian crisis. It is a predictable, orchestrated, and contrived assault on the compassionate side of Americans by their political leaders that knowingly put minor illegal alien children at risk for purely political purposes. This is a statement released by the National Association of Former Border Patrol Officers. Quote, certainly, we are not gullible enough to believe that thousands of unaccompanied minor Central American children came to America without the encouragement, aid, and assistance of the United States government. Anyone that has taken two 6 to 7-year-old children to an amusement park can imagine the problem associated with bringing thousands of unaccompanied children that age up through Mexico and into the United States. How does a 3-year-old get from Guatemala to Nogales? They walked, right? Yeah, right. Republicans are blaming Obama's immigration policies for enticing the illegals, particularly the Deferred Action for Children, Childhood Arrivals that was launched in 2012, which recently was renewed. That was an act of illegality on the part of the president. 33,000 have been caught in Texas alone over the last 8 months, overwhelming Border Patrol capabilities. A federal judge a couple of days ago, and I reported this to you, concluded that, quote, and this is the judge's quote, the White House has simply chosen not to enforce border security law. Folks, that's an indictment right there. That's the grounds and the basis for an indictment, because the White House has no other job other than to faithfully execute the law. Fox News reported this week that Arizona Governor Jan Brewer calls the situation a, quote, creation of the federal government. Jeff Sessions of Alabama, Republican senator from Alabama, assigned blame for the calamity to Obama. Fox News reported it obtained a memo from an official with Customs and Border Protection who said that the current policies are serving as an incentive for illegal aliens to sneak into the United States. Quote, if the U.S. government fails to deliver adequate consequences to deter aliens from attempting to illegally enter the U.S., the result will be an even greater increase in the rate of recidivism and first-time illicit entries. No kidding. Officials say among Obama's policies that are attracting illegals is the instructions for deferred action for young illegals. See, this is the excuse that they're using to gain access to this situation. They're utilizing the argument that, and they're making it's a sympathy play. Well, they're children. We've got to save the children. The White House is asking for $1.4 billion more. And here's where Congress has an opportunity to stand up to this, and they won't. They're asking for $1.5 billion for illegal alien children to provide them with legal assistance and legal aid to remain here. End of argument, folks. I mean, you've got a president who's asking the American taxpayers to pay the legal bills for illegals. You got to be kidding me. This former Border Patrol agent group said that the campaign is, quote, a political deception, and the responsibility rests with the political leaders who support a path to citizenship, regularization, or any other form of amnesty for illegal aliens before providing for full protections for national security. including jobs and the economy, and public safety, the right of the people to be secure in their persons and property. The officers argue that the non-enforcement of immigration laws is the next step to becoming a failed state. Here's their quotes. Yes, our leaders are guilty. However, we are responsible, and this goes straight to you. We are responsible because it is the American voter who has placed untrustworthy people in positions of power and kept them there when they have clearly demonstrated that they have violated that public trust. These successful con artists are well-dressed, attractive, and charming. This heartless criminal exploitation of Central American infants and children will finally awaken Americans to the ruse being foisted upon them by their government, the media, and other interested parties. Has America lost her ability to stand up against these tyrants and do what is right rather than what is easy? Obviously, this administration thinks you are as corrupt as they are and will vote them back into office, or these young children would not be streaming into America to tug at your heartstrings and empty your head of reason. Folks, that sounds like something I could have written for you. This is a former Border Patrol group. I mean, these guys ought to hire me as their spokesman. White House spokesman Josh Earnest this week said the federal emergency, FEMA, is leading the effort to respond to the illegal alien children arriving in the U.S., and he has said many more are, quote, escaping abuse or persecution and are being sent to locations in Texas and Oklahoma. Hey, guys, you know what? If you believe that, you'll believe anything. These people are not escaping abuse and persecution. What they're escaping is our own government, or they're escaping their own governments into a situation here of abuse and prosecution and not prosecution, but they're being abused. If you want to call into the show, you got to call the right number, caller. It's 573-453-5505. That's 573-453-5505. That's the right number to call. If you want to call into the show, you're welcome to. The number is 573-453-5505. Wait a minute, because we're down to the last 2 minutes of the program, and I'll be more than happy to bring you on the air. Here's the problem. These people aren't escaping only abuse and persecution back home. And the truth of the matter is, that's their statement. But that kind of abuse and persecution is not going on as rampantly as you're being told. What they are doing is they're taking them up here, and they're being abused along the way. And then when they are in fact abused and they finally arrive here, what ends up happening with them at that stage in the game is that they're then put into prostitution out in the streets. Or they're made to become, this is like a whole group of Fagans are out there. Folks, you can't tell me this is right for America. You can't. You can't tell me this is even right for the people that they're luring up here under false pretenses. It's not. It's not right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to tackle Iraq and the meltdown over there. The caliphate in Iraq is rising. This is the caliphate that they tried to start off in Afghanistan, and it is the worldwide caliphate's launching point. It's the egg of the caliphate. And I got to tell you, folks, if you believe that, Islam is a religion of peace, and it is not a political system veiled behind the thin fabric of religion, you're wrong. It is not. It's a political system. It's not a religion. And I know that some Muslims are going to be offended by that. I really, frankly, don't care. I don't care who's offended by anything I say. Right, left, good, bad, religious, irreligious, it makes no difference. Islam is not a religion. It's a political system couched as a religion. And that gives them unlimited power. It gives them unlimited ability to abuse their own people and everyone around them. Listen, the Catholic Church did it in the Dark Ages here, and it kept the whole planet dark. Are the people are the Islamics any different? Heck no. We'll be right back. You're listening to America's Voice Now.